We're here at Reveille Peak Ranch, ready for a barbecue dinner hosted by Canyon of the Eagles. Nice setup under cover on the water. And of course the television. For those people who simply must have one during football season. Yeah, this is really nice. And an upper deck as well.
A year ago, it was built for our wedding, which I would never suggest ever building something for your wedding. She did marry me, thank you, but we started in March and we're married that same June. So pretty aggressive time schedule, and needless to say, there was a little tweaking going on afterwards. We had the wedding. You'll see some pictures of what, in fact, thing here. We would, love to take the opportunity to show y'all, but obviously that's not going to happen tonight. But this is up on top of the mountains. It's one of the first places that my wife and I went our first date, our first, kind of full day dates. We went up and picnicked there, and it was like, what if we could get married in that spot? If anybody is familiar with Granite, roads go where roads are allowed, not where you want to put them. And so it took a number of months, but I was able to kind of pick and choose and figure out how to get a road there. So once we got a road there, then it was when we were engaged and started talking about getting married, then it's like, okay, that's the spot. Now what do we do? And a lot was I've always been in the corporate world in Austin. I did a lot of corporate entertaining. I did a lot of ropes courses, leadership training. So I'd use a lot of facilities. And what I saw being here in Burnet is we didn't have a really, really large outdoor facility where you could host different kinds of events. So we kind of killed two birds with one stone. We built it for our wedding, but then continued through this past year and actually opened it up 11 months later this past July. You'll hear a lot, and I'll talk a little bit later about the relation with Canyon and the Eagles. We're all very involved in Burnet County in the tourism side of things. We're probably the best kept secret in Texas and really in the United States. We have some wonderful things in this area. So we're doing a lot of things to build the tourism side of things. So a lot of the focus I've had are things that draw people for 14 days. So you'll see kind of the theme of that as we go here. That's real good for the area, but it's also what the area has to offer. I mean, it's relaxing. I mean, welcome. We put the heaters out for our real intense Texas winter. This is it. We love it. We had on top of the mountain a couple of weeks ago, we had the board of directors of Canyon up and hosted a cocktail. And, a lot of these guys were from out of state, and they just couldn't believe. I mean, when they were looking down on Lake Buchanan, if you look at that picture, you look down on Buchanan, down on East Lake, and it's absolutely beautiful. So what I'd like to do is kind of walk through. I'm going to head this way first through the crowd here. We did do some things, obviously not for a wedding. This started out, swimming pool for wedding, but it started out as really an adult swim-up bar and an area to lounge. We have the angled edge going in. It's only 36 inches deep, but it's turned out we've had a lot of kids events out here. In fact, we have a whole education program. In the education, we have kids out here from schools during the day. We're not actually swimming here, but we've had a baptism. We had 27 people baptized here. We've had a lot of events, so it's a great kid-friendly. Everything you see here, was recycled. The whole idea was to make it look like it's been here forever, build a structure that would withstand a lot of people, and have a structure that could be dressed up for any kind of event. And we'll go see the bathrooms in a minute, but they're very easy to clean. We put showers in them. We can host those kind of events, but they dress up really nice for a wedding. So this is either an adult or kids. It is designed. I tried to design it with as little, as few gallons of water as we could. We could drain it and refill it, but we did put the circulation in. The sand volleyball court, again, is a great thing when you want to play volleyball, but it also lends. Our son's getting married this coming weekend, and we're doing a Hawaiian luau, so we're kind of tying the beach theme into that. Kids play, you know, we've got things where we've had 100 kids on there digging and building sandcastles. So it really has worked out well. If anybody are outdoor sportsmen, the lake here is a trophy bass lake. We have a rider in Austin, Mike Leggett. He's come out and fished. We had Texas Tournament Zone. They've been out here the last 2 weeks. They hold and host a lot of fishing tournaments. And you know, I asked the guy when he came out last week, I said, so what do you think about the fishing here? And he just started kind of laughing. He goes, it's spectacular. Because, you know, the second cast he caught a 6.5 pound bass. The fish are extremely healthy, don't get a lot of pressure, but the ability to be able to add that on to an event, hold a tournament, you know, guest staying at Canyon Eagles that wanted to really come down and truly, you know, trophy class bass fish, you got it here. But we've also held 5 little kids fishing tournaments, and it's, you know, fishing tournaments for little kids, it's about catching, not fishing. And our local wildlife biologist and our county ag life extension agent have come out and helped officiate these, and they love it because, you know, everybody catches fish. The first one we had, we fished for 50 minutes. In the winter, caught 146 inches of fish. You know, he was 11 years old, so I mean that's a lot of fish. We had a little girl on a Liberty Barbie rod, caught a 20, I think it's a 24 or 26 inch catfish. You know, so big fish, little fish, and a lot of fish. It works out really, really well. Up there and take a look. If y'all would like, if you look back when we get up there, I'll point it out. It's Reveille Peak Ranch. It's the highest point on the ranch. There's actually a total of about 400 feet of vertical drop that are on the ranch. It's in the real rugged granite. It's very, very sensitive, and that's where, and I'll talk a little bit later, that's some of the activities that we've done. We're putting in mountain bike trails. We've solicited the Austin Ridge Riders. They're even applying for the World Championship in 2013 because they've not had a facility in Texas that had the venue for the festival and the challenging enough, inadequate terrain for the race itself. So we're almost batting 1,000 with groups that have come out and looked for racing. In fact, we've got 5 races booked through the first half of next year. Total of somewhere north of 20,000 people they expect to be through. So it's a big deal. The Rogue Runners, it's a running group. They do trail running. They train 4,000 people in Austin, and they're really excited. They're sponsoring the first race. We have a big race out here the February 12th and 13th, and it'll be an off-road trail running, the inaugural opening of our mountain bike trails, and then we're also doing a road bicycle event and then a 5K fun run. And so we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing there, but it's a pretty exciting event, and we're really, really happy to be doing it. So if y'all like, I'll follow me and we'll go up the stairs and take a look. So anyway, this is the top deck. You're standing 24, your feet are 24 feet above the ground. We do have our ropes course here, and we're doing it a lot different, and I'll talk about that later and introduce a couple of guys that are here that do a lot with it. But we are putting a giant swing here, and so it's already been designed. So you can imagine a giant swing that you start, your feet are 24 feet off the ground, and by the time you're pulled up. So if people want the adrenaline side of the high ropes course, you know, it'll be the highest known. These poles in the center will be clipped down, so it'll kind of be an arc. So it still kind of keeps that ship look. So it's not going to take away from the look of it, but then it'll be a pretty amazing swing. So if people really want the adrenaline side, we'll have it. But really and truly, a lot of the, you know, most corporate and almost all education don't do high elements. So we want to have a very good high, but then mostly we're doing low and a lot of the other types of low elements that we're putting together. You can see one of the races we have, we're going to have about 10,000 runners. They needed the facility to be able to have 4,000 people at music at one time. So this is actually the bandstand for that event. The stage will be up here, and that way the entire parking lot, the entire sand volleyball court, and then it's in May, so it's going to actually be where they're going to be floating out in the water.
Wow. And when is that?
That's the first weekend in May, and it's called Jailbreak.
Willie Nelson.
Well, it's called Jailbreak. They had the race the 18th and 19th of September in Dallas, and they had 9,600 runners there. This being the spring in this part of the hill country, they're hoping to actually exceed their numbers on this race.